live stream into something. Starting. We're live. What is the link though?
Why don't you put the link in there?
I'm trying to find the link. Usually the link's on the channel. That's what I mean about this bit not being different. Like there's a chunk missing from here that usually says the link of the video, but right now, oh, this is the link.
I meant put the link of the Patreon in the YouTube information.
Ah, there we go. Okay, I think we found the link. So it's the same link every time. You just put in Slickerdrips /live. Hello, everyone that's here already.
Hi.
Been lost because the page is different. Where are we? Hi, Andy. Andy hasn't watched the top 10 yet. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you.
I don't think it's going to be hard to guess number one.
That's spoilers. So what are we here to say, Rach? Should we wait? I don't know. Do we wait and do preliminary stuff? Is this all the bit that's going to get cut out?
I don't know.
I feel bad. I've changed everything to be new fancy Space Marty, and I feel a little bit bad for Sheriff Marty.
Cowboy Marty.
I miss Sheriff Marty now, but we've both got fancy new shirts. Mine's printed a little bit too low down because the website wasn't clear.
Space Cadet Marty.
Got fancy new. Marty isn't a Space Cadet. Marty's in charge.
Oh yeah.
HV, howdy from New York. Haven't watched top 10 either. What?
Aye, that's so
Well,
far away.
it's kind of understandable. It only went up an hour ago, and it's an hour long nearly. It's nearly twice. Yeah, it's nearly twice as long as every part. Some of them, I went on and on and on about, but yeah, it's just the way it goes, isn't it? I need to make sure that I've not got my elbows on the table because I think I'm shaking the laptop. One of the things of the Patreon is get equipment so that we can have the camera doing these Q&As. Not just so it'll be better quality, but also it won't be the camera that's on the laptop. So when I use the laptop, it won't shake everybody's view. When did we start playing games together? Rach? I can't remember what year it was.
It was the year we got Agricola.
I think it was. I think it might have been 2013. I've looked this up before. I'll do it now because I bet you could find out because you could find out the year that you got me Agricola because you got it for my birthday, didn't you? From Amazon. It'll be in your Amazon account somewhere. But I think I go back to when I bought 5 Tribes. Was a very early one. That was 2014, so I want to say 2013 is when we were like just starting and maybe watching tabletop and stuff. It's 2013 or 2014 anyway. We watched tabletop, loads of tabletop, ended up getting quite a few of the games. Didn't end up enjoying that many of them. I had Arkham Horror from years before then. That for some reason I went into a board game shop. I bought the World of Warcraft board game because I played that. And then, I don't know why, but I bought Arkham Horror for some reason. We played it, enjoyed it, and then that was it. We never thought about board games ever again. And then when we started playing other board games, I remembered, I've got this. So let's try and play this. So we got into that as well. And then what happened? We just it wasn't a huge thing, was it? It's something we started doing we
We
started doing it with friends a bit.
We played it a bit with friends, and then we had a break for about a year where we didn't play many games.
Yeah.
We went back into video games, big, and then we started playing board games again, so randomly.
Yeah, I can't remember quite how it happened now, but then it started being part of it is like finding out new games. I remember we went into our local shop, Shy Games, which sadly doesn't exist anymore. We used to go in there a little bit. I don't think we bought anything because we weren't sure what any of it was. We used to just go and look at all of it. And when we went in, one of the times was when Five Tribes had just come out, and still not really knowing much about games, I'd picked up Five Tribes and looked at it a lot. And yeah, it looked really cool, but I didn't buy it for some reason. And I think I just kept thinking about it, and then ended up ordering it online. And that's when I started watching Rado videos. I was looking up videos for Five Tribes some point in my constant thinking about it. And Rado was one of the videos, just another guy doing videos about board games. I'd seen Dice Tower and Rodney, and I don't know about Ricky Royal yet. Some of them anyway. But yeah, Rado's video was so impassioned about Five Tribes because he talked about there was slavery cards in it, and it was a bit of a silly video that I thought, yeah, who's this guy? Why does this guy care about board games so much? But then that started craziness really. Then that's when the board game buying really started, wasn't it?
Yeah, when you fell in love with Rado.
Yeah. Well, he also only really played 2 players, and he was really he really like showed me all of these games that were like, oh, there's this other side to board games where it's not all like fighting against each other and stealing and stuff, which a lot of those tabletop games were really, weren't they? Like Small World and Lords of Vegas, we still kind of enjoyed, but it is very much about like trying to stop people and stuff. And yeah, I don't know what the rest of my point was there, but yeah, it's probably about 5 or 6 years now, which seems crazy. It still seems like it's just the beginning, but it's not really because there's hundreds of games here. I'm supposed to look at the camera, aren't I? Where are we? Hi, Mike. Hi, Steve. Steve is the resident error checker. He is the reason that subtitles really exist on the videos properly. And yeah, everybody thanks Steve because he's the real hero behind all of this. So we should is this going to be like the actual start of the video?
Well, you've already spoke, so I'm assuming
like the video
will be in it.
The video would have to start really, wouldn't it? So the kind of occasion of this, as well as just having a Q&A, because we haven't done one for a few months now because of reasons. My laptop broke for a little bit, but this is like the launch, even though it's been up a little bit early and some people have found the page somehow. It's the launch of the Patreon page for the channel. For the last couple of years, around this time, a little bit earlier than this, we've done a Kickstarter to basically fund it all, to keep things going, to be able to afford games, to be able to go to conventions and stuff. But more than anything, to be able to have time, to be able to take time away from my normal job that I'm still working, most days, and hopefully make more videos and stop having to make videos every night and weekend and stuff and not go crazy. That is the hopeful aim of all of the campaigns before, but this year try something different rather than just having something that's brief and just for 3 weeks out of the year or something like that. Instead of just doing the Kickstarter like that, we're gonna try and see how a Patreon works out, where it can be ongoing. It's different because you pay monthly rather than just a one-off thing. I don't know, there's ups and downs of both, but that's kind of what this is about as well. There's a post in the guild about it. You can post on the Patreon page about it, post in the chat here about it, and yeah, if you've got any thoughts or concerns about it, then let us know, because we'll talk about board games and all sorts of things. But yeah, I should link to it, shouldn't I, really? But it's patreon.com/Slickerdrips.
Plot twist.
Yeah, I actually managed to get the Slickerdrips link without having to have like a full stop or an underscore in it. Do we play backgammon? No, I don't think I've ever played backgammon like properly. I'm pretty sure that it would have been one of those things where my nan had a backgammon set and I would have just played some random game on it that was probably nothing like backgammon. Or it was in those, like, when you used to get like a 20 games in one thing and it was like a chessboard on one side and then it opened up and it was backgammon. Remember them? Maybe. Anyway, no, we haven't played backgammon. How do your game tastes vary from one another? How do they vary, Rach?
Well, I don't mind games that like have an element of luck or randomness in them, whereas you get quite annoyed.
Yeah, you're a lot
randomness.
You're a lot more forgiving than that. I don't like. Yeah, I don't like roll to resolve stuff where it's like you make all of your decisions and stuff, and we're playing through the game great, and then it's like, okay, then let's drop all of this and roll some dice to see if any of that happened. I'm not really a big fan of that, but there's loads of games that we love that involve dice. But you're a lot more forgiving of it than me.
I don't like dice.
Yeah, and you like I'm a lot more on the side of they're not heavy games, but I'll lean towards the kind of meatier Vita Lacerda games and stuff, and you like some of them, but you tend not to.
No.
Really. You don't really. They're not the way you think, really, are they?
Give me a headache.
Yeah. And Rach is. I really like race games, but Rach is a lot better at race games than me. Usually, I don't know why. I think I'm overthinking them a lot of the time. Whereas
I just get from point A to B.
I should have stopped thinking and started racing, but I'm still sat there.
You're in the mode of try and get as many points as possible, forgetting that there are no points.
Yeah,
you just need
and
to
that you need to race. Like that was in. Yeah, we won't spoil the top 10. We spoil somewhere in the top 50 is Queen's Architect. That is a criminally overlooked game. Hardly ever see that thing talked about, and that's an amazing race game. That's Rach is usually the winner. Hi Dan.
Hi.
Got Dan watching, and hopefully Ellen, one of the youngest viewers. Jacob, what do you think about paid previews? I know that's like seems to be a constantly recurring topic at the moment. Whereas I liked Rodney's video about them, in that paid reviews can probably pretty much agree that they're a bad thing. Paid previews, they're not expressing an opinion. They are advertising a game. Usually like Rado started doing paid previews and cut off the Final Thoughts video because, he's being paid to make them now. I think that as long as people are saying that they're doing it, and you can put little notifications on YouTube that you're doing it, and you can say in the videos, and a lot of the things that I've seen make it pretty obvious that they're paid for. And I think some of the controversies around a couple of channels that mainly happened on Reddit, who like a bit of controversy, a lot of those, I think it's best to give people the benefit of the doubt and believe them when they said that, oh, we just forgot to check that box for that video. I don't think that there seems to be this thing of where people have this feeling that people are trying to intentionally deceive or get one over on you, and I don't really feel like that's the way. Obviously, I don't know. I see as much as everybody else. I don't see any extra as a reviewer, any insight into another one. I'm a playthrougher anyway. I'm not a reviewer. But yeah, I think that it's kind of a necessary thing as well. The Rodney Smith, is it Table Talk? Is the series that he does? He goes into a lot of my thoughts about it. That's like there's a thing that people rarely talk about is the unpaid previews, and it's great that they exist, and that's surely the way that it's completely ethical and completely impartial. Well, they can never be completely impartial. It's the most impartial you can be because you're just making this video out of the goodness of your heart or whatever, but at the same time that video is being used for the marketing of a Kickstarter, and that's kind of that's what a lot of the people that make channels think about, and what I've been thinking about, more and more over the last year or more, is that I am this lone holdout on a lot of these Kickstarter videos where I'm sat next to nothing against those channels. We said how much I love Rado, and he's a paid previewer for some things now. That I am kind of this lone holdout for no real reason. So yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see the problem as long as people are saying it. I don't see the distinction, and I think it's like it's a hard enough thing to be doing this. I am fairly small in the scheme of board game video makers on YouTube, which in themselves are a minute thing on the scope of channels on YouTube. So like for me to be able to get any kind of crowdfunding thing going is lucky, really. and I'm nowhere near the something like a Dice Tower Kickstarter can get. But there are loads of channels that are doing it for free that can't even that aren't big enough maybe to do the crowdfunding thing. And so what do? Like, I don't know where the ethics are, who you're trying to please in this, because I think that a lot of board game reviewing, it's up to you to kind of, it's on the reviewer to be honest and everything, but it's kind of up to you to know the reviewer as well. Just because you usually get on with like certain types of games, like, I'm being honest about what I think about games, but you've got to know that, like, I try and say it as much as I can, but you've got to know that I hate take that in games. I tend to not like dice and randomness in games, so you have to know that. And if I trash a game for having too much take that in it and stuff, it's not necessarily that I'm being that negative about the game itself. It's that, like, it's me, and that's my biases. Every reviewer has got biases. If anyone talks to you about objective reviews, then shake your head and walk away, because they don't exist. Like, there's a kind of this. I've got to be honest and stuff, but also people have kind of got to know where I'm coming from, and it's this symbiotic thing that we've got going, isn't it? That's why we get along so well. That was a big answer to that. Paid previews are fine though, as long as you say that you're being paid for them, and I don't see the other side of it, apparently, which is clear from yet again on Twitter today. Andy, love Lords of Vegas, but with 4, and it has to be the right 4 people. Yeah, I don't think we ever played it at less than 4, really. It was always with friends, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we used
Does
to
it even play
we used
too?
to play the Las Vegas
Yeah.
soundtrack in the background. The film The Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's
all. The soundtrack to that.
All we know about the film Las Vegas,
It's
I think, is the music to it, which is great. It's written by one of the guys out of Devo as well. We didn't know that when we were listening to it.
Although we
constantly.
recently found out that that playlist is gone.
Yeah, it's been removed from YouTube now.
The Las Vegas songs have been removed from YouTube, so it's a good job.
It's a good job we don't
really play Las Vegas anymore, Lords of Vegas. Because
yeah, because we haven't got the soundtrack
it's just not the same.
that it'd work with. Is there a game you both dislike equally? I don't know.
There's been many games that we've played, and then not playing that again. But I can't none spring to mind as of right now.
No. Nothing that's like I think a lot of times it's like it's usually just that that wasn't really anything.
I would say a type of game would be like social deduction.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well,
thing.
I don't think we dislike them equally. I think you hate them
Yeah,
a lot.
I
I don't like social deduction games like the Resistance and stuff. But kind of when we're in like a party setting and there's a friend of ours in particular always, brings one to big gatherings where they're suited to. I don't like them, but I don't like it, but I'll have to go along with it. Whereas you'll
be quietly seething inside, then I'll hear all about it later.
You'll kind of go along with it, but you'll make it very, very clear that you don't want to be doing it.
I'd rather sit out and watch, and then I'm made to have a role, and then I'm expected to join in.
I would rather watch as well. Like, I like watching social deduction games. I really, really don't like being in them.
My situation is no one ever listens to me, and I usually have worked out who is the traitor. And I become accused of being the traitor when I'm not the traitor, which just so happens in these games.
Yeah, that is the game.
And no one ever believes anything that I say ever. So, it doesn't work out for me in the end. And it's just frustrating. No one believes me when I am. No one believes me when I'm not the traitor, and everyone calls me out straight away when I am the traitor because I can't be bothered to pretend that I'm not the traitor. So it doesn't really work out for me.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of yours, isn't it? That as someone saying that you're lying about something.
That I'm not lying about.
So in a social deduction game, that's kind of the point of it, is accusing everyone around you and no one being sure what's happening. My thing is kind of I'm terrible as the bad guy, as the traitors or whatever. I'm terrible at doing it, and I'm not that bothered if we win or not. And I just think we've got nothing to go on here. Like in the Resistance specifically, I think this is just complete nonsense. Like I can just say that I'm not, or that I am, or whatever, and nobody really knows. And what difference does any of it make? But hey, that's a whole genre of games rather than one game equally.
I'm sure we could think of some games if we saw a list of games. But
that we disliked. Dice Forge?
Maybe that's a question we go back to next video.
Next time. That's
Send in some questions.
I've been reminded when we've played the Roll for the Galaxy expansion that uses Rattlebones dice, and that got me thinking about Dice Forge again.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I really don't like
brilliant.
Dice Forge. Especially when Rattlebones is about. Nobody cared about that game. Rattlebones is great. Besides game content, what is some of the other paid work that you've done? Jobs, started businesses. Or H.
Oh, it's you first.
What jobs have you been?
Well, we both worked in a similar place. We worked in an entertainment store.
Yeah, like...
That you may know of it. It sells video games, electronics.
Yeah.
Phones, other things. Similar things.
Yeah, we worked there.
That's where we met. I've also worked in clothes shops, like retail, when I was at uni. But now I'm a teacher. I'm a primary school teacher. Currently teaching year 6. That is my job. That's it.
I've just always made board game content. That's all I've ever done. Yeah, I worked with Rach in that place.
You currently sell records.
I work in a record shop, as well as doing all of this stuff. I worked in video game shops before then because I loved video games before board games dampened them. I think they killed board games off for a little bit. They killed video games off for a little bit, and now video games have crept back up a little bit, but it's still overwhelmingly board games. So yeah, I worked in a video game shop, and I worked in a Subway. That was my first job for quite a while.
Subway is in the food eatery, not a train station Subway. What?
Marty's come to visit. If you heard that. I worked in Subway. I was a sandwich artist, and a very, very good one. I can still make you an amazingly good-looking sandwich. And when we go to Subway, I can see people doing it wrong. Francisco can't understand social deduction games either. Yeah, they're beyond me. But there's definitely something to them. Enough people love them. But, yeah. Jacob, have you designed any games? No. I used to, when I was a kid, so like I said about backgammon, I had all these things, and I used to make up games, but not anything proper. I don't think I played the proper rules to a lot of games that I had. I was playing them by myself a lot of the time. I remember having, what I know now is, Warhammer 40k, a scenery pack, and it was one, an army booklet. I know that's what it is now, but when I was a kid, I thought it was a board game. And I was, desperately trying to make sense of, Warhammer books have got, pages and pages of all the units and how much they cost and all this stuff and how they work. I thought that was the rules and that I just didn't understand it. I remember spending loads of time trying to figure out what this game was and what pieces I could use to substitute the missing ones. I realised now that was impossible because it was Warhammer. What game would you design, Rach? If you could. What theme would it be?
Yeah, it'd have to be what I know, which is, something about a school, maybe?
A school?
Maybe.
A school game.
Maybe.
There is...
Maybe something about trying to get as many students as you can to, pass a test. Something equally as boring as that, probably.
It'd be unusual, though. It'd be interesting.
Creative.
It'd be more interesting to have a theme like that. There was something from... I don't know if anybody remembers. There's a game from Luda Creations a couple of years ago that was about kindergarten something or other, where you have to herd all of the children out from the playground, I think. But yeah, other than that, school is maybe a good one.
Dan says rondelle school. There would definitely have to be a rondelle.
Yeah, Rachel loves rondelles.
There would absolutely have to be a rondelle in my game. And dice. I'd somehow have to have a rondelle and dice. Definitely. If anybody wants to make a game from that, feel free.
Yeah, if any designers end up watching, I haven't even tried to design a game. I'm still stumbling trying to talk about them, but I said before I would like more music themed games. There are there's music games there's Thrash and Roll. There's a game called Vinyl coming out that I'd be interested in trying. I would like games like the music business, that you're all making records and entering the charts and stuff. I don't think there's very much of that, or the management side of stuff. I would really like a Euro game like that. And also, the other thing is wrestling. I think that wrestling is such a good subject for a board game. And there's a WWE rock paper scissors kind of game, and then there's luchador dice or something like that. I think there's a really good thing of like being a wrestling manager or stuff and doing your own promotion and getting a load of wrestlers and stuff. Maybe it's just because, the dream is to go back in time and have one when you used to watch wrestling and know all about it, rather than now when they do murky things. But yeah, they were the ones that I would make. Francisco says, as a teacher myself, that's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be a heavy game trying to get those children to do what you want them to. And you could have like little event cards that have got like behaviour issues, or really, teachable things such as that. Boring staff meetings, as a little card. I've got.
We should have brought this. We should have brought this up when he saw designers at the expo or something. I'm sure David Turksey would.
Maybe if I tell him my plans, I'll say, here's some ideas. Make a game. And
he's involved in every game that's going anyway. I'm sure that designing a game about school would be nothing to him. He could knock one off at any time. We have Magdeal.
Yeah.
I do apologise if I pronounced that wrong. There's many classics I'm dying to get my hands on. Any game in particular you two want but have not been able to get? I don't think there is anymore. I'm sure that at one time...
What was that game?
At one time I had lists of this kind of thing.
That game that's been out of print for ages and ages and it's worth loads of money.
That doesn't narrow it down much, Rach.
Arkwright is what I was thinking of.
Arkwright? No, you can get Arkwright. We used to talk about
it when we were at Shy Games.
I can't remember.
No, I don't. I'm just thinking I'm making it up now.
Yeah, there would have been, like, when I was, unstable and buying just a ridiculous amount of them, I did have lists and stuff and keep track of all these games that were out of print, and like my Macau is from constantly checking your board game prices, and I saw one Dutch site had a discounted copy, and so grabbed that. I think At the Gates of Loyang was an expensive one that I had to get from America because it was out of print. I was always looking out for these things back then because, like, annoyingly, some of those things have always been out of print. I think you can get Loyang now from Tasty Minstrel Games, which is good, but Macau, still out of print the whole time, the whole 5 years or whatever it's been, always been out of print, which is crazy. It's a Stefan Feld game. Surely it would sell. I can't think of one that's out of print that I've been after, though.
And I wouldn't know.
I always wanted to try it. It's not out of print. It's just, the distribution is just a bit exclusive to it. I've always, despite the fact that I don't think I would like it in the end, I've always wanted to try Kingdom Death Monster. Do you remember that, Rach?
Yeah.
Just a ridiculous box
when you wanted to back
full of minis and stuff.
And it was a fortune.
Yeah, it's hundreds of dollars to get it, and it's like a bespoke, ridiculously detailed minis, loads of them, loads of cards. Yeah, at this point, back when I was thinking about getting it, we would probably have played it. And I think that the base thing as well is roll to resolve. And yeah, I wouldn't like that as much. But Midara really is, there's a little bit more to it, but it's mainly roll to resolve, and we love that.
I would love it anyway.
What, you're down with roll to resolve at any time? Hi, Psychic Lord. Hello.
Hi.
And live game design with Rach and Tom. Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? If we could get at some point.
Just a few plans. There's no concrete
that's
plans.
something we should have done. Like, we should have cornered like David Turksey or something. Got him on camera. And
Help me.
We'll just spew game ideas at him, and he'll have to just design them in front of him. But surely he could do that. He designed Steal This Game like in a night. Like he could come up with
Give him a few bullet
a
points.
big heavy euro in a few days.
Points.
Surely. I feel like I should know this, but does Marty exist in real life? And if so, how come we never see him? He does exist in real life.
He's
You just missed him about 5 minutes ago. He was meowing through it. I'll go and find him.
No, do you want me to go and find him?
You fill time, Rach.
No.
Okay, then Rach will go and find him. Am I gonna tuck in? Can you get past?
Yeah.
Rach will find Marty. He is due a visit anyway. He tends to have an appearance in each of the Q&As. It's just hard to wrangle him. But yeah, Marty does exist. Yeah. It's his dinner time around now, so yeah, he's very aware of that. But Marty is real, and Glass Marty is... Where's Glass Marty? He's in his little pouch, I think. Glass Marty is made by Jennifer Ham, handmade glass. Rodo's wife makes beautiful glass things. And the whole point of Glass Marty was, I'd for a couple of Christmases bought Rach some glass pieces, earrings and stuff. And the other things were, there's a purple one as well. There's a lovely little red dinosaur that I'd got one Christmas. And then I saw on the store that you can get your own dog or cat made into a glass piece. And so I thought, I can make a glass Marty, and it came and it was amazing. And that was well before I'd started a channel or thought about starting a channel. And yeah, now he's kind of been co-opted. He's no longer a present. He's ended up being like a mascot, and he's gone to the Wild Wild West. He's gone to space, all sorts of things. Here he is.
He's not in the mood.
Apparently he's not in the mood.
He says he don't want to be in your videos anymore.
Here he comes.
He wants his dinner.
Here's Marty. As you can see, he's not very cooperative and not in the mood to be on camera. Was his face on camera at least for a little bit? Marty, look at the nice people. There he is.
No, he hates it.
He's hungry. He was probably asleep upstairs, and he's just been dragged down. Oh, he's very happy
He wasn't asleep.
He's very happy to be sniffing around and making little faces behind the camera
and meowing
and knock the microphone stand and stuff. But yeah, he's a bit camera shy. He is in some playthroughs. Like, there's no list or anything, and he hasn't been on them for a while. Like, sometimes, I think it's generally in the summer, he's like lying in the corner of the table, and you often see him in the playthroughs. But yeah, the rest of the time, he's off upstairs asleep somewhere where it's warmer. It's a bit chilly, and I film all of this stuff in the living room. He's right behind. He's not even in the mood to be stroked. He's very...
He's not a loving cat.
Yeah, he's in a bad mood at the moment.
He's the boss.
No, he's not having any of it. That was your lot, apparently. Maybe he'll come back around. If he senses one of us has got treats, then he'll be back. He's off the table now. That's it for Marty. But there he is. He does exist. And we never see him because that's why. He does what he wants. What was your formal education like? What was it like, Rach?
What do
you mean what have we got? Or did we enjoy it?
We've both been to university.
Yes, we've both been to university. Got degrees.
I loved school so much, I decided to go and spend my life in a school.
Yeah. Yeah, Rach must have enjoyed it. I've got a degree in computer science, apparently. Once upon a time.
Never uses it.
Once upon a time, I knew a lot about computer science, evidently. But yeah, we've got degrees, and then that's where it ends. But you must have extra stuff as well, haven't you?
Well, my education never really ends because we do training every year.
Well, neither does mine. I learn about new board games every single day. I never stop training.
Yeah.
So, you love Marty. We love Marty as well, even though he doesn't really give it back most of the time. Random question: if I want a big sprawling campaign like Gloomhaven, but I don't like magic, do you have any suggestions? If you don't like magic, I don't know, because like for a big sprawling campaign, Medara's got magic in it.
They're usually dungeon crawlers, aren't they?
Medara's lighter on the magic, I'd say, but it's still a part of the universe. There is... I don't know much about it, but there is Tainted Grail. There's a subtitle to that. Tainted Grail seems like it is a big, story-heavy game. It's very, very dark, I think, like a mature theme. Rado did a run-through for it that I haven't seen much of, so I'm not sure about it. I know that it's recommended to me when I keep talking about story in games. I think that's got a big sprawling campaign, and maybe it's still got magic in it, though. I get the impression of like a kind of Dark Souls universe, which may have a bit of magic in it, but generally it's fighting, isn't it? It's sword swinging and stuff, that kind of thing. But I don't think we've played anything. I think the only kind of big sprawling campaigns we've played are Gloomhaven and Medara, I think. There's like, you can keep Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon, that's it. Maybe that's one, but don't take my word for it. That's just the only thing that really springs to mind. There is Sword and Sorcery from, I think that's from the people that made Myth. That's some great big box dungeon crawl. I'm not sure. I assume it's got some big overarching campaign, but there isn't really much like Gloomhaven, is there? Gloomhaven is hopefully the the ridiculous popularity of Gloomhaven is going to spawn more games like it. It'll be hard because companies won't make them because there's too much content in them. And, you know, if they're going to kickstart them, there's problems and stuff getting all that done yourself and the time to make them. Like, I'm not sure how long it took Isaac to, you know, it took him a year or more to finish writing it after the campaign finished. I imagine he was doing it long before the first Kickstarter. So even if it is inspiring more games, we're going to have to wait ages for him. Does Seventh Continent have magic? I don't think so.
It didn't have magic. Is that a sprawling campaign?
Well, it's different, isn't it? It's like a great big sprawling... Yeah, it's like a great big sprawling exploration game. Yeah, maybe Seventh Continent as well. It's not... Yeah, it's not a dungeon crawl thing like that. Hi, Nath.
Hey.
But, yeah, that's a big sprawling game as well. I can't think of any others. But, yeah, maybe Sword and Sorcery. I'm not really sure the story parts of that. I know that you can play Too Many Bones has got a campaign expansion now, but I wouldn't expect it to be a huge sprawling thing like Gloomhaven. I think it's just... Yeah. Medora's got less of a focus on magic, but maybe the lore's still got a fair bit in it. And that's a crazy sprawling one as well. But... Yeah, if you don't like magic, I think you're out of luck for now. No, I was going to say Shadowrun Crossfire, but that's not a campaign. It's an ongoing, like, level your character up thing, but there isn't, like, a story that's running through all of it. How many game extensions do you own? I don't know. Loads. I updated my collection on Board Game Geek, and I stopped filling in the expansions, because I was just kind of like, I'll just get the name of the game down, and then when it comes to ranking them, I'll include the expansion in there. We've got a lot, though, haven't we? We tend to get expansions. I know it's different now because, you know, I get sent them. Like, we probably wouldn't be having Roll for the Galaxy Rivalry because of the sheer cost of it and things like that if we were just buying games, or maybe we'd sell a game to get it because it is brilliant. But yeah, we get more because of what I do. And another part of that is not only do I want to see, you know, what gets added to the games, it's also an excuse to go back to them. Like, we haven't played Roll for the Galaxy for probably a couple of years now, and yeah, we've played it twice in one weekend because the expansion came out. Having said that, though, someone was commenting about the Feast for Odin expansion, and I thought about how we haven't played that yet, and then I realised that it's been 8 months since Essen. We've had that for 8 months and still not had a chance to play it yet. But yeah, I think we were into expansions before, though, weren't we? Usually, the only downside of expansions is for some games, like maybe Peloponnese, not too much, but Among the Stars a little bit. Absolutely love the games, but have maybe expanded them a little bit to a point where they're harder to set up. You know, you have to remember, like, oh, have I turned this thing on? What's the rule for that little expansion part? Legendary got to that point. Not necessarily for a ridiculous number of mechanics, but it did add a lot of stuff. But for just being, there's way too much to keep hold of in this, and we just lost constantly.
I can't remember when we last won that game.
Yeah, we just lost constantly, and kind of that didn't help our love for Legendary.
Jen 100% exists, and we've met her and had photos with her.
You would say that, though, Rach, if you were involved in Rado's conspiracy to make everybody believe that Jen is real.
What's this conspiracy?
What if everybody sees? What if when we show that photo to everybody, there's just nobody there?
Well, I'm in this video.
And it's just
does Marty exist?
You exist. I don't know if Marty existed. Maybe I was just holding my empty hands up, and he just wasn't there. Loads of people still think that Jen doesn't exist, but yeah, she does, and she's in videos. Cats do what they want. They do. Can't really do anything about that. Thanks for bringing in Marty. You're welcome. I'm hoping that he would come back, but I think he is just in the kitchen, sat
upstairs
next to his food. Oh, he's gone upstairs. Yeah. He would. Self content have magic, yes. Hi, Nath. Your BGG ratio is 3-1 games to extensions. I could believe ours is that. There's plenty that don't have them, isn't there? So I imagine that we're about that. Although I'm shaking the laptop so much, aren't I? Yeah, we'll get this camera sorted for next time. But yeah, I'm pretty much down for all expansions.
Nath, we did prove it.
We did prove it, Nath. You missed Marty.
And also, I did take a battle scar in trying to get him, and he has scratched me.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
Because we wanted you to see Marty. Like, I don't know when it was. It was in the last 10 minutes, wasn't it? We did bring him down. He is in an especially bad mood, and just wanted to get out of here.
Andy has gifted on the glass cabinet that I so kindly gifted to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and Andy...
I'm glad it's gone to a good home.
Technically, Rachel won it, but there was no chance Rachel wanted that glass cabinet.
Oh, how was I going to get it home?
Yeah, even though now, I kind of think, I've painted some minis. We could have had them in a cabinet.
Yes.
It would have been brilliant.
Delightful.
Yeah, Jen is real. There's photos on Twitter or something of us with Jen last. Not the Essen Just Gone, the one before that when Rach could go.
Board game.
Oh, UK Games Expo as well, yeah. Yeah, we saw them then. Yeah, she's definitely real. Although it's a fictional Jen that Roddo's playing with every game. But he's imagining what it would be like to play against Jen. Whereas I am really playing against Marty. And he's a tough cookie. We won the glass cabinet. Susie and Debs have it now. Yeah.
Good.
It's good. Glad that it's still going around. Eventually it will make it along all of the board gamers. Marty hated it. What, his appearance on here? Yeah, he wasn't having it at all. Usually he'll at least sniff the laptop and stick around a little bit. He was shooting right behind it.
Should have brought some treats.
He can sense, right? What? He can sense when we're trying to get him to do something and just get right out of there. A couple of days ago, I accidentally came across your Patreon, but I subscribed nevertheless. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Patreon is like there's a whole post on the guild about it. If you like, the guild isn't really linked, is it? There is a guild on Board Game Geek that you can go on, and it kind of collects together posts and stuff. You can be a member. It doesn't get you anything, but you can be one. Here is where I post things sometimes. Yeah, I made a little post there just in case anyone came across it and was like, what's going on with this Patreon thing? It's because I knew that I was going to do it, but I wasn't going to launch it until June because, you get charged at the end of the month and then your benefits happen for the next month. And July is when the Kickstarter from last year runs out, like their benefits. So they were doing something with their fees and blah, blah, blah. I made it live, but kind of said, don't join it yet. And then somehow people found it and joined it, which really can't complain about because that's the whole point of it. But yeah, for anyone tuning in later, tonight the page is all finished and it's been updated with Space Marty and stuff and all the various things that you can have for signing up and supporting the channel. You can do that this time, except it's an ongoing thing with Patreon and there are some different tiers and stuff, different benefits, instant videos, votes.
Yes, if you're
going to do more regular top
if
10s.
You're already Patreoned, you might want to go and check. Put yourself in a...
Yeah, if you're already signed up to the Patreon, you might not be in one of the tiers.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
what I was thinking
you can keep the same amount, but I'm not sure if you need to be in the tier. I'll sort you out anyway. I'll get you the benefits. I think it'll work out, but hey, we'll be learning together how this works out on Patreon because yeah, I'm new to it as well. Although we can get advice from all of the luminaries that have come before me and worked out how to use it all. But yeah, it's pretty. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. I like how it's going. Although it's more of an event, isn't it? Launching the Kickstarter and it's going to be this limited thing, but I'm hoping this can be like a proper ongoing thing that can grow and we can add more stuff to it. Like if we get to certain goals in it, then there'll be more playthroughs and stuff, so I'll add more votes in and I'll get if I think of other videos to do and I get more time to do them. It all depends on getting more and more in the Patreon, can do more and more on the channel. That's pretty much what it translates to, especially since last year I was going to do that with the Kickstarter money. It was all about like, okay, this is all going to be spent on taking more time off work and doing more on videos. And for a little bit that was true. But very, very quickly, it ended up being, okay, the laptop can't edit videos anymore. The microphones sound terrible. The camera I'm not happy with now. And a lot of it ended up being spent on equipment. And Essen. Essen's a huge chunk of it. Cats in space. Is there one you prefer, Assembly versus Sensor Ghost for solo and 2-player? I think, although we were playing Sensor Ghost wrong, we've ended up playing what is...
We made it just harder for us.
Janice is very kindly calling it an introductory version now, but really, we misunderstood the rules. So, yeah, Sensor Ghost is better than I gave it credit for, although I was pretty complimentary about it, I think. It was better than I thought, but I really like Assembly still. Whereas Sensor Ghosts, a downside for us is that it involves some memory because you can't know where a lot of stuff is. And I said that in the video, I think, but it involves a bit more memory in the way that it is because the tiles can keep flipping around as you are going around the board. And so you kind of need some idea of what's on both of those tiles, which is brilliant. But at the same time, we're both pretty bad at memory in games. And so, for us, that's a little bit of a downside because of that. Whereas assembly is just, it's so quick, it's so simple. And it does remind me of those, I'm just regurgitating my first impressions now, but it reminds me of, playing those simple card games like Patience or Solitaire or Clock. Did you ever play Clock Rage? It's really rubbish. Don't look up what the game Clock is because it's not really a game. Spent so much time playing that as a kid and then found it on the internet later on in life and realised what a waste of time that was. It's not a game. You've won or lost before you even start. But yeah, it's like those old things that I remember playing. And I think it's got that extra thing for it for me that it's especially as a solo game, it's like a 10-minute thing. I've got the app. I need to play the app. Janice was very kind to give me a code for the app where you can just play it whenever. And I think that's even better because like just wherever you are, if you need a quick 10 minutes, assembly. And the expansions really add to it as well, that you've got robots to deal with, as well as all of the malfunctions and stuff. Or what was the other one? The other one was resequence, so you had to lock all of the modules in order once you'd started one. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Well, we can play that anytime. We've still got the prototype. But yeah, looking forward to the final versions of all of those things. If you need a volunteer helper, let me know. Yeah, if you could stand on streets with a big sandwich board advertising my Patreon and a megaphone and stuff.
Tweet it out every 5 minutes.
Get one of those cars that people drive in elections with megaphones on the top and just roam the streets telling people about the Patreon campaign.
Yeah, you have offered another option, haven't you, for those that are really against
maybe
Patreon.
I need to do really I want more discussion and stuff to happen around it, because I know that when I very, very first started thinking about Kickstarter in the first place, and I was thinking Kickstarter or Patreon, there were people, there were enough people that said they didn't want to use Patreon and other reasons that I ended up going with Kickstarter. And so no one said that this time, but if people still feel that way, although I think Patreon's a much more well-known thing, like 3 years later or 2 years later. So I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue. But, there's downsides for people. Like recurring payments is a good thing for some people because you don't need to come up with a big amount right now. You can just do it monthly. But at the same time, some people don't want a monthly commitment. And for whatever reason, though, if you don't want to do Patreon, then it's in that in the guild. The first post in the guild is all Q&As about Patreon. And yeah, there's just basically a PayPal account that is only for this, that isn't used for anything else. And if you want to contribute through there instead, then I will do my best to match you up to some kind of tier in Patreon, and every benefit that I can give you, I will. There's some things like commenting on the posts in Patreon and stuff and seeing those locked posts. I can't really do anything about that because that's automatic on Patreon. But I can still send you the links to the early videos. I can do the vote kind of separately because the votes will happen in Patreon as well now to make them a bit easier for me. But I can kind of ask you and add your numbers on. So yeah, we can do that if you just want like a set amount in PayPal, because there's a downside for EU people is that Patreon charges VAT only for EU people. You can get around that. I'm not sure if I'm meant to be saying this, but I'm pretty sure Rado said it last year. You can get around that by using a VPN. And if you make it think you're in America or something, then it won't charge you VAT. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do that. You didn't hear that here. But yeah, it can be done.
You're just saying what you heard and you're not telling anybody to definitely do it.
And it's worth knowing that Dan actually made us aware of this, that if you use your card as payment and you aren't in America, then Patreon doesn't offer an option to do pounds like Kickstarter does. So like, if you're using your card, it'll charge you a fee for currency stuff, but you can use PayPal and it won't do that. That's some things about Patreon. But yeah, if you got any questions about it, then you can get in touch with me all the usual ways, Geek Mail and Twitter and stuff. I'm about everywhere, but in that page is where you'll find all of the latest information. When can we see a top 10 anticipated games list for Essen?
Probably in October.
Yeah, probably. Is Essen at the end of October again?
Yeah.
Usually, I think lately in the last year or so, I've been very close to the wire for the Expo and Essen to do my top 10 list, and that's because of partly not having time through work and stuff, but also that I get sent more and more games beforehand to say, oh, please can you do a video of this before Essen so people know about it. And yeah, I've got a problem that I need to sort out of just saying yes to everything and not thinking about the real world implications of having all of this stuff to do. So yeah, the top 10s get later and later. But I'd say probably 2 weeks before Essen. I try and leave it late as well because, again, this is true for Expo and probably all the other conventions. It is surprising how late a lot of publishers leave adding their games to the Great Big Board Game Geek list. It is really surprising how late they leave it, considering that you want people to get excited. You know, there's so many. There's like 1,000 games at Essen, more than that probably, and you need to make your game stand out amongst the crowd. The way you do that is put the description on, put the pictures on, get yourself on that list as soon as possible. But people don't, for whatever reason. I know that some people don't know what's going to be there or don't know if they're going to make it in time. I know that there's companies like CGE who are very good at announcing their games, by the way, but they get their games made like right before Essen. It's like Paul went through it with us once about how close to the wire their manufacturing is, but because their manufacturing is right next to them in the Czech Republic, so they can just get them made. They can leave it to the last minute, get them made, drive them over to Essen. What was the question? Yeah, top 10 will be around October. I used to do a Gen Con one because there was like exciting things releasing at Gen Con. I don't think I did one last year. Maybe I should do that tradition back because we need to do more top 10s now. Now that I've after putting it off for nearly a year of doing like top 10 games, and then I ended up doing a top 50 games instead. Now I've got the games ranked though, and it'll change and float about a bit probably. But for doing future top 10s now that I've kind of, it's always been too much work to do it. I've enjoyed this as well. It was like once they're all done and dusted and going up, it's pretty amazing to see how much more interest they get and how much more discussion they spark, and that there's this kind of mystery thing about what are the last 10 going to be. I've enjoyed doing it, so I'd like to do more, and that's going to be part of the Patreon as well. Plug again that one of the tiers, I think it's the $10 tier onwards, you, as well as voting for games that I've done in the past, you can vote on what the top 10 is going to be. So like for topics, if you've got topics in mind that you would like me to do top 10s about, then other than favourite games, because I've just done that one, then yeah, let me know, add it to the guild or tell me on Twitter or something like that, because there's going to be a lot more top 10s now, hopefully a monthly one. I think though we're caught up and we're coming up to an hour, so unless anything
I'm hungry.
unless anything springs on us, then yeah, I'm pretty hungry, and Marty is probably starving right about now, so I think we are going to leave it there. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back.
Thank you.
We'll be back much more regularly now that everything's kind of in place a lot more and all of our equipment is functional. Then we'll hopefully be making this a monthly thing again. And hopefully if the Patreon does well, and I know I said I wasn't buying equipment, but I would like to get a capture card. Is that what you need to be able to film playthroughs? Because we could do some live playthroughs sometimes. And it's like a roll and write or something like that. We could play with you guys. That would be really good, wouldn't it? But yeah, I was supposed to be saying goodbye and I carried on talking. Does the reprint of top 10 of SOS Titanic campaign now? Top 10 Titanic games. Yeah, I would like more Titanic games. That would be good. Does Shipyard count? I'm sure it's not a Titanic. I was hoping somebody who knew about boats would correct me on that. But yeah, reprint SOS Titanic. I tweeted Ludenote when you asked about it, Andy, and they didn't reply. But yeah, goodbye everybody. Thank you for joining us. We will see you again soon. Remember, the Patreon is there. Help support the channel if you can and you want to. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
The awkward bit when I wasn't ready to say stop.